Hi guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about pathological liars. This is a topic that has been popular on my channel for the past 3 years that I've built this channel. I started out with videos that weren't so good, but I started out with a topic that a lot of people hadn't heard much about, and that was pathological lying. I think we tend to believe that, people lie and they're going to get caught eventually, and they're going to stop lying once they realize that it's not going to get them anywhere. And unfortunately, that's not how a pathological liar works. So I did a series of videos, as you can see here, that talk specifically about this topic, and I went in depth. So in this video today, I'm not going to go in depth. I'm just going to touch the surface, and I want to point out a couple of things before we move into the next series of topics that you can look at right here, but also in the community section. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For those who are subscribed, thank you so much for your participation, for your comments, for sharing your stories. It makes this channel what it is. So thank you so much. And for those who are new, I encourage you to join our community. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can stick around with us and be a part of our validating and growing community. I think the benefits for you in today's video is I'm going to briefly touch the topic of pathological liars. I'm not going to go into depth because I'm going to post in the description box previous videos that I've done on this topic. I just want to touch the surface for you and point out some things, okay? I'm also going to give you some tips on how to deal with these kind of people. So when we talk about pathological liars as a society, I think what people think is this is a liar who continues to lie over and over and over and over because they are manipulating, right? They are calculating, they are criminal, and they have a particular reason why they're lying, right? I think that's the running theory in society. The reality is this, that pathological liars lie frequently, compulsively, and constantly, but there isn't always a motivation. And that's what gets people so thrown off when they come to see me. They say, "Are you serious? There's not always a motivator?" Not always. Sometimes there's absolutely no motivator. There's absolutely no trigger. The person lies because they have become conditioned to lying. The person lies because it's a mental health condition. The person lies because they have a personality disorder, which I talk a lot about on this channel. The person lies because it is something that they have grown accustomed to over time. So they have learned. And here's what I mean by learned. They have learned the behavior over their lifetime and primarily growing up. So child development is usually the years in which we learn and really start to adapt to our environment, and we adopt certain mindsets, patterns, behaviors, and we tend to learn it most from those who are rearing us or raising us, right? And that's typically our guardians, our parents, grandparents. So child development is really an important piece of this puzzle because pathological lying tends to have two component parts. One is genetics. Okay, so that's the biology. What has been going on through the lineage genetically and biology. Why can't I say this, guys? It's been a long day. Biologically, there we go. Biologically, right? What's been going on biologically, right? So when we say that this is a genetic condition or a genetic series of behaviors, I'll say the lying behaviors, we can say that it's biological, right? It's a series of generations. It's a series of DNA structures. Definition of DNA really quickly. It's deoxyribonucleic acid. It's this big word right here. And basically, this is what we are made of, right? This is how we think, and it's what we're made of, our heart, right? How, the conditions that we are born into this world with, right? Our eye color, our hair color, our skin color, the tone of our voice, all of that is programmed into us the moment that we are conceived. That's a beautiful, beautiful reality. I love that. So all of that is programmed within us. Unfortunately, there are some people who are programmed negatively at conception, and it's genetic. And God, you just kind of wish that they didn't come into this world because they have a series of genetics that really makes them quite a puzzle. So That's one component. The second component, guys, is environmental. So we're talking like how you're raised and your friendships and where you go to school and where you grew up, and how you interact in your environment and who interacts with you and who doesn't interact with you, right? All of that has an impact on the act of engaging in lying pathologically or compulsively. Now, there's two other things I like families who come to see me and individuals, I like them to know. One is protective factors, and two is risk factors. Now, protective factors are things that we are exposed to in our world that makes life a little bit easier on us. Even if we have a bad set of genes, protective factors really helps us to get through life a little bit better. Protective factors would be things like a good education, really dedicated and educated parents, having stable finances, having a stable school environment, not being bullied, having access to good jobs, having access to living in good neighborhoods, right? Always having food growing up, not being malnourished, having a strong support network, whether that's friends, family, extended family, really having that community to like support you and to kind of embrace you, right? Those are all protective factors. Those are things that buffer us against reality. It buffers us, right? So, it really is a good thing to have a series of protective factors growing up, because it can protect you from developing genetically any traits that can be detrimental to you and other people. Now, risk factors are things that we are exposed to that are detrimental. Bullying, drugs and alcohol, early sexual experiences, teenage pregnancy, malnourishment growing up, mom having 5 kids and not being able to raise or discipline, right? Divorce, and I'm talking, divorce that ends really ugly and really messy, domestic violence, child abuse, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. All of those things growing up are known as risk factors, and these are things that make us more vulnerable to our future. It makes us more vulnerable. I'm actually going to post a video right up here that I did last year about the ACEs study, and you can actually take that study. I think I posted some information in the description box there. Let me know if I didn't. Come back to this channel, let me know, and I'll post it in the description box in this video below. But you can take the ACEs study, and really what it is it's an awesome questionnaire about trauma, and it asks you a series of questions, and depending on how many questions that you answer will determine whether you have more protective factors or more risk factors in your world growing up, okay? The higher the ACEs score, the more risk factors. The lower, the better. And so this is the way I want you to see, categorize the life of a pathological liar. How many risk factors have you had versus how many protective factors? Because it's going to make a huge, huge difference. Now, let's go ahead and jump into pathological liars. Let me talk a little bit about statistics. So the term pathological lying has been a very controversial one. Some people say there's a difference between pathological and compulsive lying. Other people say there's no difference at all. Now, some studies suggest that fewer than 5% of individuals lie. Fewer than 5%. So you can't really even count that up in your neighborhood, right? But then other people say, not so much. Some studies suggest that about 10% of individuals are really good liars. So I think it just depends on the research that you see. I think it depends on what outlet you're getting your research from. And I also think it depends on who's doing the study, right? What's their experience? What's their research saying? What's their real life exposure to pathological liars? So I think all that matters. But I think it's important to keep in mind the pathological lying is something that you're going to run into. It may be something that's not as prominent or prevalent as you may think, but it does exist. And it exists in a variety of capacities. One capacity is mental illness. Now, we talked about psychosis, psychotic stalkers. We talked about schizophrenia. We talked about delusions, hallucinations in my previous series that I just did not too long ago. In the world of mental health, we have to keep in mind that individuals are not 100% responsible for some of the things that they do when they are mentally ill, when they are psychotic, if they have schizophrenia, if they have delusions. They're not 100% responsible. And what that means is that their illness can actually take over in such a way that they don't have the capacity to control it. And so sometimes pathological lying can be the result of schizophrenia. It can also be the result of a psychosis, of a psychiatric illness, which I talk about in this video up here. Go ahead and take a look at it. I break it down for you. Psychosis, what it is, schizophrenia, delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thoughts. Go check it out. I talk about it in pretty good depth for you. But people who have those conditions can sometimes lie. And they lie because either they're trying to protect something, or they're delusional and they have a strong belief that isn't true, or they're hallucinating and they think they're seeing and hearing things that aren't there. And so you may get lying behaviors, right? This individual doesn't always lie to hurt people. They are lying to protect something most of the time, but sometimes they also lie to hurt people. So it just depends on the person, the motivator, the situation, and the mental illness, okay? Some people with bipolar disorder engage in pathological lying, and they do it because it's a part of bipolar disorder sometimes, right? Bipolar disorder includes depression and mania, these two poles. And the idea is this, that, you know, you can be really, really low in depression, or you can be really, really high in mania. And sometimes when you hit that upsweep, when you go up and you hit mania, sometimes you are sexually promiscuous or risky. Sometimes you engage in gambling or doing something else that could really harm your finances. And sometimes you engage in pathological lying, and you do it unconsciously. It's like you're doing it in your sleep. That's how good you are at it. And so sometimes when you are manic, you can actually become someone who engages in pathological lying. So that's one component. The second component is personality disorders, and I talk about that a lot on this channel, guys. Go ahead and search on this channel if you are new to my channel and look at some of those videos. I talk about narcissists and sociopaths and avoidant personalities, and the list goes on, multiple personality disorder. These individuals, so those who are in the cluster B category, so we're talking borderline, narcissists, okay? We're talking antisocial personality disorder. The B, cluster B category, I talk about it right up here in this video if you want to go take a look. In this category, in addition to cluster A, sometimes the paranoid personality and the schizoid, they can also engage in pathological lying. Personality disorders are genetic. You can't medicate them, and sometimes you can't really counsel them. It takes a lot to bring them to a place of recognition. And even if they do agree to go to counseling, okay, sometimes it's because they've been forced. You know, the court forced them. My wife wants to divorce me, and that's why I'm going, right? My finances are really bad, and I'm getting ready to get kicked out of my apartment, you know, so I have to come to therapy. That's the only time they go to therapy. But personality disorders in the cluster A category, in the cluster B, they engage sometimes in pathological lying because it's a part of their genetic makeup. You know, it's not to say that all individuals in these two clusters will lie, but those who do really do destroy other people's lives. Those with untreated borderline personality disorder, or really poorly treated borderline personality, may engage in pathological lying, and it can be very serious. It could be lying about an affair. It could be lying on somebody, saying they stole something that they didn't steal, or they did something really horrific that they didn't do. A narcissist will also use pathological lying. Now, sometimes they'll do it out of spite, or sometimes they will do it because they're insecure. So it really depends on what you're dealing with. But I want you to keep these two components in mind when you're thinking of pathological liars. Sometimes there's a mental illness, other times there's a personality disorder. Okay? So what should you be looking for in a pathological liar? Well, let's look at this, okay? I think there's a couple of characteristics, and I have it right here on my list. Because it's been a really long day, and I'm like, I'm not keeping up too good, guys. So let's just go ahead and jump into this, okay? And I'm going to reference my note right here. So the first thing that I tell my subscribers, people who watch my videos, people who come into my office, is that the first thing that you want to watch out for with a pathological liar is that they will try to trap you. One of the things that they do when they lie is they try to connect dots, and they try to pull in pieces of information that could help complete their lie. And in order to complete the puzzle, they have to pull that in, that in, that in, that in, right? That over there, oh, I'm gonna get that's a good one, that's gonna help complete my story. And they kind of do this in a way that is artistic, you know. That's how evil they can be. And they pull in different pieces and you're like, how did you come up with that, you know? How did you? And it's only because that, you know, they are creative, they are dark, some of them. And so they will try to trap you in order to make sense out of their story. And in order for people to believe the lie, sometimes they'll have to trap you in that lie just to help complete the puzzle. Okay, so that's number one. I encourage you to be aware of that. That's something that they do all the time. They have to have a story, and you may be a part of it. That's the sad piece. The next one is they will manipulate your words, okay? They try to manipulate what you say to fit their puzzle. The way that I want you to see a pathological liar is they have a puzzle, they have a story. And in order for it to work, in order for the pieces to fit together appropriately, they have to manipulate certain pieces in their world to fit that story and to fit that puzzle. And to do that, I have to manipulate everybody else around me to fit that so I can be the truth teller. It's simple as that, you know? And sometimes they get away with it. You know, sometimes they become judges. Sometimes they become attorneys. Sometimes they become therapists, sadly. Sometimes they become scientists and professors, and they're really good at trapping you and lying, and they know how to do it in a way that makes them look innocent every single time. So watch them. They will manipulate your words. You don't want to be anywhere with a pathological liar where nobody else is there to see you. Nobody else is there to really back you up. You want to always be with somebody else when it comes to a pathological liar, because you never know. You may need to back up your own story. The next thing is that they will try new tactics. So if you have a sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic, pathological liar, you want to keep in mind that they are skilled. And not all narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths are skilled, but most of them are, because it's survival. All of their behaviors really have developed in an attempt to help them survive this life. And a lot of them don't have good skills. A lot of them don't have good people skills, but they know what to do to get what they want. They know what to do to win you over because it's survival. That's how they got through life, right? They have to play the part, act the part, role play the part, lie, scheme, threaten, cheat, manipulate, triangulate. That's who they are. They will try new tactics every single time. They cannot allow you to catch on to their tactic, because once you do, you break their code, you interfere with their story, you interfere with their puzzle. So you have to be really careful in interacting with a pathological liar, because they may try new tactics on you and get you trapped up. That's just how sneaky they can be. And the other thing too that I have on here is that they will try to pit people against you. I call that triangulate. You know, they know how to create a triangle. They put three people in a triangle and they say, you know, you're going to be my rescuer. You're going to be the one that I'm going to like praise and love and worship. And you're going to be my persecutor. You're the one who's creating the trouble for me. Oh, and then I'm going to be the victim. I'm going to be the one who's being targeted. And so, you know, that triangle really does cause some issues, and it can cause challenges at work. It can cause challenges in residential and commercial spaces. It can cause challenges in your own house, in your own marriage, in your own community. Pathological liars know how to play all of these games. They know how to, you know, try new tactics. They know how to triangulate. They know how to manipulate your words. They know how to get over on you. You know, they know how to really make you trust them and like them so that you can become their new prey, or so that you can complete their puzzle, complete their story. So pathological liars are really difficult individuals to deal with, and you know, you just want to be on your toes with them. You want to make sure that you have security and surveillance and backup when you need it, and you want to make sure that you're never with them in a private space. You also want to make sure that you never say anything to them that they could be recording, that they could be, you know, jotting down, that they could have somebody else listening to, right? So you just want to be smart and wise with how you proceed with them if you decide to. I often encourage people to walk away, distance themselves. I think that's the safest thing to do. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys, in this video. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful to you, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around with us. I'm going to be coming back doing another video on ways that you can manage them, how to protect yourself. So that is my goal for the next video. Stick around. Bye-bye.